YouTube, welcome back to another video. My name is Ben Kump. I'm the owner of Legacy Fitness Coaching, and today I want to be talking about cutting and bulking phases, right? Of course, if you want to start losing weight, keep as much muscle mass as possible in a cutting phase, or you want to start bulking, gain as much muscle mass and size as possible, and then start to cut and of course, cut down that body fat. So my goal here on this video is to help you know more about what you're getting yourself into, right? Whether that be bulking or cutting, right? If you want to start showing or defining those muscles, you want to start cutting, or if you want more size, you're a bit of a skinny guy like I used to be, then you might want to start bulking. And again, my main goal here is to try and teach you as much as possible about these two phases. Again, so you just know what you're getting yourself into and you're prepared for any possible situation, right? So first off, let's start with cutting, right? Actually, before I get to that, all of these topics that I have right here in the middle, they're in the middle for a reason, right? It's because both cutting and bulking, they relate to sort of all of these different topics, but I want to get into those after we talk about specific types of cutting and bulking. So first off, cutting. How do you actually cut down the body fat, define your muscles, and show them, right? And how you do this is being in a calorie deficit, right? Eating less than you are burning every single day. So it's a very simple process, right? But then on the other hand, bulking, being in a calorie surplus, it's the exact opposite, right? Eating more than you are burning every single day to slowly start gaining that weight, trying to gain sort of as minimal fat as possible, right? You don't want excess fat, but again, fat is going to come along with building that muscle in a bulking phase. So that was just how to explain these two phases in very, very simple terms, right? I went over these two terms last video, right? Calorie surplus and calorie deficits. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. But again, those are two very simple explanations of cutting and bulking. But for the time being, let's stay on the cutting topic, right? Cutting can be hard. You're hungry, you have less fat, so you have less energy throughout the day, right? And just daily tasks are harder because you're always hungry, right? No one likes to be hungry when going to work or even when going to work out, right? That is the worst. And so some hacks that I have for you guys in a cutting phase, I have 3 of them, right? Number 1, let's get this out here. Number 1, low calorie, high volume meals, right? And what this means, sorry, the handwriting is probably horrible, but low calorie, high volume means obviously low calorie. There's not a lot of calories in this meal, but there's a lot of volume, meaning that it's going to fill you up, but again, it's not that much calories. A great example of this is a ground turkey and rice bowl with lettuce in it, right? Rice is obviously the carbs that you need, protein you have with the ground turkey or ground beef, and then adding that lettuce is really just going to add volume to this meal, make you feel full, make you feel like you just ate a big meal. But again, this lettuce has no calories in it, right? So it's going to make you feel full in a cutting phase, but it's going to go with your diet because you are still not eating that much food in reality. Number 2, I would say to delay your meals till later on in the day, right? And I'm not saying don't eat breakfast, but I'm saying eat a smaller breakfast so that you can save your calories for later on in the day, right? Lunch and dinner and other meals. So if you eat a low calorie, smaller breakfast, say that is 400 calories maybe, and you have a 2,400 calorie deficit budget for the day, right? 400 calorie breakfast, that is minus your 2,400 calorie daily goal. You have 2,000 calories left to eat throughout the whole day, right? So maybe you don't want to eat a large breakfast in the morning because that's going to hack away at that calorie budget, and then you won't be able to eat more as the day goes on, which all of us know we get hungrier as the day goes on, right? So sort of try to save your calories for the end of the day, just to make sure you don't overeat, right? We want to make sure we're staying within our calorie deficit and staying on our diet to cut properly. And number 3, geez, that's horrible handwriting. Water intake. Hopefully you can read that, but drink more water when you're on a cut, right? Sometimes when we're hungry, we might be mistaking it, our bodies might be mistaking it for thirst, right? You might just be thirsty. You might just need something in your body. And so your body's like, okay, we might be hungry, or you might be thirsty. So my point is, start drinking more water in a cutting phase. Obviously, water is important in general, right, for overall health. But in terms of a cutting hack, it's obviously just going to fill up your stomach in a way to make you not feel as hungry, especially, of course, throughout the day. This can really help you maybe later at night as well. You know, you might want to start snacking or things like that. Find a high protein snack, right? But also drink more water at night just to fill up your stomach and make you feel not as hungry. It's sort of a very simple hack, but it can make a difference if done properly. So these are my top 3 tips and hacks for cutting and how to expedite this cutting phase in the best way possible. Of course, I've been in a cutting phase before. Right now, I'm sort of on a lean bulk. I'll get into that, obviously, as I get to the bulking side. But again, cutting is a hard thing to do, right? And that's why not everybody is this lean, shredded machine, because it's hard being in a cutting phase. And so hopefully these hacks are helping you. Hopefully this information helps you. If you want to cut, you have to be in a calorie deficit, eating less than you are burning every single day, marginally, right? You don't want to be in like a 2,000 calorie deficit, about a 500 to 700 calorie deficit, and you should be good, right? Starting to slowly burn that fat down and maintain as much muscle mass as possible. So let's get to the bulking side of things, right? Obviously, like I said, it's the opposite of a calorie deficit. It's a calorie surplus. You want to be eating more than you are burning every day. Again, marginally, you don't want to be in a 1,000 calorie deficit, eating too many. Of course, everybody's different. You might have to experiment with it. But with me, I'm in a very, very slight surplus in order to minimize the fat gain, but gain muscle mass over time, of course, very slowly, right? So I'm in like a 100 or a 200 calorie surplus, meaning that I believe I'm burning around 3,000 calories every day and I'm eating 3,200, right? So a 200 calorie surplus. But if you really want to put on some mass, and you're okay with gaining some fat, because that's not the worst thing in the world, right? Like I said, if you gain more fat on your frame, you're going to have more energy. It's easier to build muscle mass with more fat on your body, right? Because again, you have more energy and things like that, more nutrients in your body. And so play around with your calorie surplus. I would recommend just 500. I think 500 is a great surplus to be in if you're trying to gain weight in the safest, healthiest way possible, right? So that is what bulking is and the whole sort of thing around a bulking phase. Now let's get to some more hacks. Number 1, again, this handwriting sideways, it's hard, but drink your calories as much as you can. I'm not saying shred up your chicken and eat it like that, right? But what I'm saying is maybe for breakfast, you have a protein smoothie every morning, right? Because you can literally pack so many different things in there. Oats, fruit, obviously, protein powder, milk, olive oil. That's actually going to be another hack here, right? You can add so much to a smoothie or shake in the morning, and it can be like 1,000 calories, and you can knock that down quick because there's no chewing or anything involved like that. So like I said, drinking your calories can be a huge hack when it comes to bulking, because you can just get them down fast and not have to worry about chewing or preparing too much. But of course, you don't want to be drinking every meal. You don't want to be shredding up meat and things like that. That's horrible, right? But what I'm saying is, of course, try a protein smoothie in the morning, throw a couple things in there, add a ton of calories, knock it down, and you're good for the rest of the day, right? Starting your day off with 1,000 calories consumed. Now, number 2 is sort of just going to go along with number 1. Number 1, I'm really focusing on just breakfast, right? Like a great example is that protein smoothie in the morning, like I said. But number 2 is, again, drinking your calories as much as possible, but in a different way, right? For me, when I am in a bulking phase, like right now, I'm drinking a lot more milk than I would be in a cutting phase, right? Because milk, obviously, I want something to go along with my meals in terms of a beverage or liquid, right? So right now I'm having milk. It's got a lot of protein, of course, calories, right? It's just adding calories throughout the day. And I'm drinking milk for almost every meal. Milk is adding a lot of calories to my specific diet every single day. And olive oil. Olive oil is a great one that you can literally throw in with any meal, right? It's a very healthy fat, very high in calories, and you can knock down like a shot of that, for example, and seriously just get clean 100 to 200 calories right then and there, right? Again, it's a healthy fat, and so this is, again, sort of drinking calories, but two specific options that I do myself: olive oil and milk. Again, in a bulking phase, I'll drink a lot of milk for meals. And then in a cutting phase, I don't want to be drinking as many calories, right? I want to feel full, but not be consuming as many calories. So I'll be having water for meals, right? I'm still getting a beverage, still getting liquids, still feeling full from the liquids, right? But it doesn't have any calories at all in compared to, milk during a bulking phase, right? So these are obviously very, very similar, but these are two just different situations of drinking your calories. And number 3, the amount of volume, how many sets you are doing during your workouts on a bulking phase. So let's break this one down a little bit. During a bulking phase, of course, you have more fat on your body, you have more energy, you're eating more nutrients, again, just more energy overall. So you're going to be having better workouts. You're going to have more energy for all these workouts. So with that, you can increase your volume in the gym just a bit more than usual, right? Let me give you a quick example, right? If I'm in a cutting phase, say I do 9 sets for one specific muscle group on a chest day, right? Say if I do 9 total sets on my chest workout during a cutting phase, right? Every set is going to failure. I'm keeping the intensity high, right? I want to maintain as much muscle mass as possible. So in order to do that, I need to have high intense sets, right? But with that, on a bulking side, again, you have more energy. So you still, of course, want to keep the intensity very, very high. You're trying to build as much muscle mass as possible. But again, with that, you have more energy. So you can sort of take your total sets to maybe 11 or 12, right? Keeping the same intensity in both phases, but you have more energy. So you can sort of increase that volume just a little bit more because you have more energy and you're trying to gain as much muscle mass as possible, right? So hopefully that one makes sense. That's a big one that some people miss, right? But you have more energy. Why not put it all into the gym? That is the main point of a bulking phase, to gain as much muscle mass as possible, right? So these are my 3 hacks for bulking, 3 hacks for cutting. And now let's get to these middle subtopics that I wanted to talk about. Again, these all relate to cutting and bulking. And the first one is to track your calories, right? No matter if you're in a cutting phase or a bulking phase, a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus, of course, you want to be tracking every calorie that you are consuming so that you're doing either phase properly, right? You want to know how much you're burning every single day. And then if you're in a calorie surplus or a deficit, tracking is mandatory if you want to do it correctly and make sure that you are on track to gaining weight or losing the fat in the best way possible. So tracking is super, super important, hence why it's at the top. Another one I wanted to talk about that is very interesting, not mandatory in a sense, but meal frequency, right? Of course, traditional meal frequency is just 3 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? But for me, it's different. I have 5 meals a day, right? You could say it's 2 breakfasts, 1 lunch, and 2 dinners, or I don't care what you call it, right? But I have 5 meals a day, of course, split up into the day. And this just makes it easier for me for both phases. Right now, like I said, I'm in a bulking phase. And if I'm eating all of these calories, trying to stay ahead of how much I'm burning, I obviously am putting down a lot of food. And with that, it's hard to be eating, 1,000 calories per meal if I'm only eating 3 meals per day. And that's exactly why I have 5 meals a day, right? I'm eating less calories per meal, but more frequently throughout the day. So I'm still eating a high number of total calories, but it's split up into smaller portions and smaller meal sizes. So figure out what meal frequency works best for you, right? Maybe it's 4, maybe it's 6, right? I know, of course, the top level bodybuilders, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, they were eating 6, maybe 7 meals a day, right? But like I said, I'm eating 5 meals. Maybe you are fine with 3, maybe you are fine with 4 meals a day. find what works for you. But this also goes along with cutting, right? You want to feel full throughout the day so you don't overeat. So maybe you want to eat 5 meals as well, right? It's smaller portions, but you're feeling more full consistently throughout the day instead of eating 3 meals, feeling full, and then sort of feeling hungry, eating again, feeling full, and then again for the third meal, right? You want to feel full through the whole day. And so maybe eating 5 meals a day for either phase is smart for you. And that's what I figured out for myself. Now, intensity, right? We really already talked about this one. You want to keep intensity high no matter what phase you're in, right? Intensity in the gym is the key to muscle growth and change. Your body doesn't want to change and you have to force it. And how you do that is through intensity, right? Pushing your muscle till failure, till it can't go anymore, so that it rips apart, it gets broken down. And it's like, if we are going to push this hard again tomorrow, I got to prepare for that and grow this muscle so that I'm prepared tomorrow. And then tomorrow you push even harder. So it's like always just constantly trying to catch up with your intensity. And that's why intensity is so important, right? Of course, cutting, you want intensity high again to maintain, if not to gain muscle mass during a deficit. It's very hard to do so, but at least maintaining as much muscle mass as possible. And then of course you want intensity high on a bulking phase to gain as much muscle mass as possible, right? That one's self-explanatory. So we already talked about intensity. Next one we have here is water intake. Again, no matter what phase you're in, you want to be consuming about 120 fluid ounces of water a day. And of course, I'm going to recommend you throw in some electrolytes, right? Water alone, it's very, very difficult to be getting enough minerals and electrolytes throughout the day just from water, right? So yes, you want to be getting 120 fluid ounces of water every single day. But with that, adding in some electrolytes here and there throughout the day. And very last, but not least, of course, is sleep. This one goes along with intensity, kind of. No matter what phase you are in, you want to be getting enough sleep. If you're cutting and you're not getting enough sleep, you're already not getting enough food that your body wants, right? You're in a deficit. You're literally burning more than you are eating, right? So you're already in a deficit. And then with that, say, for example, you're not even getting enough sleep. This cutting phase is not going to work for you, right? Your body is just getting broken down and not being able to recuperate or recover properly, right? You have to be getting enough sleep in a cutting phase in order to, again, maintain as much muscle mass as possible, have enough energy for your workouts, and of course, just get the best results possible, right? And of course, you want 7 to 8 hours every single night, right? And then a self-explanatory, again, in a bulking phase, you want as much energy. You want to be getting enough sleep at night to repair your muscles as best as possible, breaking them down in the gym. That's where the nutrition comes in to start getting those nutrients in there and rebuilding. And then of course, sleep comes in to start repairing them and just get everything rolling in the right direction. Right? So again, no matter what phase you are in, sleep as well as all of these subtopics are super, super important to stay up on and stay consistent with if you want the best results, right? At the end of the day, that is the main point of this video. No matter what phase you are in, if you want the best results, follow some of these tips and hacks and start looking and feeling your best. So that was a quick breakdown of the 2 phases, cutting and bulking. Of course, there is a third phase, and that is just maintaining, right? Eating as much as you are burning every single day to sort of maintain how you look and feel, right? If you feel your best, you're like, I don't want to get any heavier. Of course, I don't want to lose any muscle mass. I want to stay right here. Then all you have to do is eat as much as you are burning. And of course, tracking everything is really going to help in that situation as well as both situations. So no matter what phase you are in, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what struggles you're going through, hopefully this video was able to help you out, get you out of a rut or a plateau that you might have been in. And yeah, right, that's going to be the end of this video. Hopefully I explained it all well. Please comment below what you want to know about next. Of course, I'm going to keep on continuing with videos like this, giving you guys out free information on how to become the best version of yourself. But again, if you have something very specific that you want me to talk about, me to go over, I bet you that someone else is going through that as well, and they would want to hear it too, right? So don't be embarrassed. Don't feel like it's a hassle to comment what you are struggling with and what you want to know about. I'm obviously asking, and so let me know. I'd love to help out. And yeah, of course, if you guys want to work one-on-one with me in my legacy fitness coaching business, right, I am opening up 3 spots for the month of June, right? I believe today is June 2nd. So yeah, 3 spots for June, 3 men who are looking to become the best version of themselves through health and fitness. Thanks for tuning in to today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.